I don't think it's any real surprise, my opinion on this New South Wales side. It's pretty shit. Ever since I saw the side that Fitler named, I've just been sitting here and I've been going, how? How can you drop Latrell Mitchell? How can you drop Josh Morris? How can you pick this side? Daniel Safidi, what the hell? But obviously, I wasn't the only one who was thinking like this. Just as I was uploading my video, I saw Oliver from NRL, in my opinion, also uploaded some videos on New South Wales and Queensland, and he wasn't happy either. So I thought it'd be quite cool if we did a little bit of a rant video. Now this one, it ended up going for quite a long time. Didn't expect it to go that long, but it is what it is. Here's the video. So here we have it, guys. We have Oliver from NRL, in my opinion. How you going, mate?
I'm doing good. I was about to call you champion. Now, Clarkie's told me that calling people champion in the Navy especially is seen as an insult. I was about to say it. That's why I stopped myself there.
About to insult
I'm
me.
good. Yeah. So I try not to say it now, but sometimes it just comes out. All right.
I can't believe you're
I'm
coming on to my channel and calling me champ. Wow.
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. If we want to talk about people who aren't champs, we're going to talk about the New South Wales side. Now, your NRL, in my opinion, I definitely want to know your opinion on this New South Wales side, because I'm pretty sure, based off the videos, you're not happy with it, just like I am.
Yeah, look, as you said, my videos, I did do the New South Wales video where I reacted to the side, and then I did my reaction to the Queensland side, which was basically me talking about the New South Wales side, how I didn't like it for half the video, and just, comparing it to Queensland consistently. So I guess it was more, out of the two videos, it was 1.5 videos on New South Wales and half a video on Queensland. But yeah, look, as I did go through though, I found that on paper, the names, the actual players aren't bad. There's not someone who I'd say is a bad player. However, you don't make 7 changes in Origin, okay? Especially when you're in the situation that New South Wales is in. You are the current Origin champions, right? In game 1, you were the better team in the first half. Okay, Queensland had some chances where they could have scored, but they didn't. But overall, New South Wales were the better team in that first half. They lost by 4 points. They were also the last team to score. So they were looking better right at the end of the game.
I think
Then you go and make 7 changes. I mean,
yeah, it's a big call. Not a call I agree with. Honestly, I don't understand the thought process with Fitler. I know some of them were forced, like the Kotrick and David Clemmer ones were forced, but even in terms of bringing in Blake Ferguson now, I feel like I don't have a problem with Blake Ferguson playing. It's more so well, if you're going to pick him, why wouldn't you just pick him for game 1?
Yeah, and look, for me, I would have personally, for game 2, Tom Trbojevic has to be there, right? I mean, that's what Freddie said, and most people agree that Tommy Turbo is going to be in there. When he has played, he's been amazing. Personally, what I would have done, I would have had Tommy on the wing, just like he was last year, and I would have kept Latrell and Josh Morris in the centres.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think that's easily the best thing they should have done. But I don't know. Brad Fitler, I had my question marks on him when he first got announced, because as we've seen over the years, him and Andrew Johns and stuff would get on Channel 9 and they would talk about their opinions. And you know how every year there'd be, oh yeah, this person's got their team, and it'd be in the papers. And I remember seeing like Brad Fitler's always be like Mitchell Moses and like all these people, like all the flavors of the month, your Bryce Cartwrights a few years ago and stuff. And I remember going, oh my God, I swear to God, if he's actually the coach, we're going to end up with this sort of team. And here we are with this sort of team, and people aren't happy.
Well, the thing is with Fitler as well, people are saying, oh yeah, it's really good Freddie's going to come in and be the coach. But the whole time I was thinking, why? Because the only other first grade coaching experience he has was at the Roosters, and he took them to a wooden spoon.
I witnessed the Bulldogs destroy his Roosters one time. It was great for me, but yeah, he definitely doesn't have a history of being a good coach by any means.
No, and the thing is as well, I think these teams are the picks are selected, as you said, based on the flavour of the month, who's popular. We sort of have short memory spans in the sense that, our opinions are based on now, and we don't necessarily think to what's happened in the past or in the future. And the one for the immediate past that I always bring up is Mitchell Pearce, right? Great player, okay? Great club player. And I'm bringing this up I'm bringing Mitchell Pearce up for two reasons. Everyone was saying he should have been picked for Origin. One, and let's just say nobody's injured here. Let's just say Reynolds is fit, Keary's fit. One, yes, he's been great for the past few weeks. Won a few Man of the Match awards. What about the first 6 weeks of the season?
Yep.
You know what I mean? People just seem to forget about that. They say, oh yeah, he's been consistently great. Well, compare him to Adam Reynolds or a Luke Keary, he really hasn't. Even compare him to a Chad Townsend, who's gone, like personally for me, and I know it's a bit of an unpopular pick, I would have had him in the New South Wales side because he's just been consistently so good. But because I guess the media doesn't hype him up and he's gone under the radar a bit, he is less likely to get picked. I believe the Origin selections, obviously they're all good players, but for some of the picks, it's heavily influenced by who's popular right now. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it seems that every couple of years when New South Wales isn't going so good, Mitchell Pearce is that popular choice. Now, I know that he did front the greatest Queensland team of all time, arguably, right? But should we really be using that as an excuse in Origin? And people are saying, well, no one would have been able to topple that Queensland team. Yes, they did. Trent Hodkinson won a series with New South Wales against that Queensland side. I mean, obviously, it was, I'd say New South Wales were a bit lucky that year, but you can't say that they weren't. And I'm not blaming Mitchell Pearce for this, but the next season, we lost the series.
Yep, they dropped Josh Reynolds, who was the
Mitchell
one.
Pearce.
They dropped Josh Reynolds, the one who was actually able to put Thurston off his game for first time in however long. And then they dropped Reynolds because he was out of form a little bit, and they brought in Mitchell Pearce straight away, and there you go, another series lost.
Yeah, and I'm not blaming that on Mitchell Pearce. I'm more saying that taking away Josh Reynolds probably would have been a bigger impact, but we just got to think to the past a bit.
Do you find it strange that Brad Fitler talked in the lead up through last year, this year, I've got to get away from the losing mentality, stop picking the guys who have lost. So he brings in Ferguson. For game one, he brought in Josh Morris. And all the talk was that Mitchell Pearce was going to get selected before he was injured. Him and Nathan Cleary, two halfbacks. Yeah. It seems very strange to me.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what? Freddie as well, I'm not sure if he came out and said this, but it's very heavily implied. He wants a New South Wales side that he can consistently pick with minimal changes for the next 10 years, right? He wants what Queensland have just had. They were barely making changes to their squad, to their side. They had a good core. I think that's why he's sticking with Nathan Cleary, definitely, who has been a bit better the past few weeks, but I'd say James Maloney's been the leading man at Penrith. You're talking James Tedesco's probably got around 10 years left in him. Tom Trbojevic as well, and I think that's a big reason why I said Tommy's got to be in there, because Tommy's going to be there long term. Nick Kotrick, before he got injured, is likely to be there long term. The likes of Damien Cook and Boyd Cordner, probably not as long, but they've still got a while left in them. So it seems to me Freddie's trying to build a side that he can consistently pick for the next 10 years. But then he goes and picks guys like Blake Ferguson, where you sort of go, you're going back on what you said and exactly what you brought up as well. He's going back. He doesn't want that losing mentality in his side. He wants it to be his New South Wales side. Well, the picking of Josh Morris worked out, but then you dropped him and now you've brought in Blake Ferguson. Well,
he's brought back James Maloney too.
He has brought back James Maloney. However, Maloney was in the side last year, and he did bring some players across from 2017 to 2018, and it worked. But I think more of what he was going for is that he didn't want to go back to pick players who had been dropped from the squad before, is how I took it. Like, he was going to take some players from 2017 into his 2018 squad, but yeah, and again, Maloney's not someone who can play Origin for the next 10 years, but I think his hand's sort of been forced because I think that long-term 5'8" for New South Wales is Luke Keary.
Definitely.
I mean, if things play out how it seems Freddie wants to, James Tedesco will be the fullback for the next 10 years. Tom Trbojevic will be the wing/centre for the next 10 years. Josh Adokar will be on the wing for the next 10 years. Luke Keary and Nathan Cleary will be on New South Wales halves combination for the next 10 years, of course, barring injuries, whatever. Damien Cook should be the New South Wales hooker for probably the next 8, and same with Boyd Cordner. Paul Vaughan and Tyson Frizzell sort of chuck them in sort of that Cordner Cook range, and Jake Trebojevic as well, probably in the next 10 years at lock. So,
But here's the thing I don't understand with that though is because so we've acknowledged that we're picking Cleary not based off form or anything, based off the fact that he's going to be there long term. Yet we've just gone ahead and we've just dropped Latrell Mitchell, who's arguably our most talented player, our best player in the side. He played very well last year. He's a man who's stepped up in big occasions. Although he didn't play well last game, but in the final series last year for the Roosters, he did well. He's done it all, and he's only 21, and we've just thrown him out of the side.
I did a column on this morning. I guess I'll go into it a bit more now. I have a feeling, it's not been confirmed by anyone, I have a feeling Latrell has decided to not play. He's obviously, as soon as Origin ended, Origin 1 went straight to Taree. I think it was for a funeral. A lot of people online are saying that he's lying. I don't think he'd lie about going to a loved one's funeral. Obviously not in a great mental space right now, I would say. He's obviously going to have a lot of eyes on him due to his performance in Origin 1 and how he's played the last couple of weeks. And I think he wants the least amount of media attention he can get as possible. Sure, we're all talking about him right now, how he hasn't been picked. But I guess the scrutiny for that is more on Freddie Fitler than for him. And as the week goes on, we will still talk about it, obviously, but we'll talk about it a bit less and we'll focus on the game more. I think he just wants to find footy fun again, because I take it in the past few weeks he hasn't. He wants to go back to the Roosters, play well. He just wants to focus on playing for his club right now. And I believe he put out an Instagram post or commented on someone's post.
I was just about to say this, about focusing on the Roosters.
Yeah, he says he just wants to focus on playing for the Roosters. So I think he'll be there for Origin 3, but I wouldn't be surprised if he came out and said, just for this year, if he came out and said, Freddie, don't pick me for Origin 3 either.
I just think regardless of how it's happened, I feel like Brad Fitler and the selectors have not handled any of these droppings properly. Because the talk yesterday was that, Angus, it's not only just Latrell Mitchell, Angus Crichton stuff, we're finding out that they were dropped, literally from other players after the game. They didn't get a call or nothing like that. I mean, Brad Fittler's coming out and he's slamming players publicly. This is the biggest problem for me, is the fact that not only is Brad Fittler the captain, but he's still that media personality. And he's still going out publicly 100%. And talking as if he's a media personality. I mean, we saw him, he did it last year and it worked out okay, but I thought it was a bit weird then. But doing interviews mid-game, stuff like that. But even his comments about Cody Walker, who's just been dropped, not playing well himself, who knows what sort of state he's in. And the fact that he's going out publicly and going, yeah, we've had to pick James Maloney, Braith Nassar wasn't available, so he's the last one in line. So here you go. It's I mean, you have Cody Walker there. You had Jack Whiten as well, who can play 5'8". Yeah. And you're making comments like that. It's a bit weird for me that he is the coach. This isn't me or you making a comment on a YouTube video or you Buzz Rockfields or whatever on TV. This is the coach of New South Wales, a legend of New South Wales, making comments about his own players. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the media a bit, right? I know we're sort of diverting here, but I remember when Mal and when Laurie Daly were the coaches, you could barely get an interview with them. You'd barely hear from them. Now we've got Kevy Walters from Fox League. We've got Brad Fitler from Channel 9. It doesn't feel as exclusive anymore. Stuff feels a little bit more out there because these guys are in. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying how it sort of feels. The other day, Kevy Walters was commentating on the Titans game or whatever. I think he's an all right commentator. He's there. He's a fun guy type of thing. You know what I mean? Kawhi Leonard, fun guy. If you guys watch NBA, he's a fun guy, and he loves being passionate for Queensland, and it works. And the media in general, the media are so, as I said before, so involved in these Origin teams and being selected. And look, I'm not going to go too much into it. Hey, it's my dream to one day commentate for one of those guys. I'm not trying to slander them, but I'm just trying to work this out in my head because it seems...
Are you trying to say you think that the media has too much power in terms of team selections and...
Well, I think that they're encouraged to hype up certain players, right?
Well,
And this
let's
is
look
not
at
the
all players they've hyped up in the past. Like Curtis Sirenan was someone who got hyped up massively.
yeah.
Has he gone on to get anywhere near that hype? No. Bryce Cartwright, another one who I looked up a few years ago. I was looking through team selections. I think he was in the team but had to pull out through injury. He was another one that your Matty Johns and Andrew Johns are really bad for this. They're ones in particular who they just see the hype
Oh
on a kid and they want to go, yep, he'll be the next so and so. Luke Brooks, he'll definitely be the next Andrew Johns. He's going to be better than my brother, etc., etc. And then they end up being average, and then they sort of turn their back on them too. So I don't know.
no,
I
well,
really don't like a lot of these media personalities, to be honest.
I do like a few of them. Like I don't mind any of them, but you got to think as well. A lot of the time it's their job. I think maybe behind the scenes, and this is complete speculation, not rumors and that, I think that the media is encouraged to hype certain players because they're big names. People can get behind them easily, such as Mitchell Pearce, who, yes, is a very good player lately, has been playing amazing, but throughout his whole career, he's a great individual player. I'm not trying to knock him, but
We all
they
know he's
hype
a
him
good
up.
club player, but there's a
We
difference
all
between
know he's a
club
good
player and a rep player.
the other day, right? And Nathan Cleary is someone who has copped this a bit as well. So the other day, Braithen Astor was coming out and talking about how Nathan Cleary will never be as good as Mitchell Pearce, or how better Mitchell Pearce is than Nathan Cleary. Mate, forgetting all that for a sec, Nathan Cleary's won a series
Exactly, in
in
his
his first go.
attempt.
Mitchell
first
Pearce has
attempt.
had about 7 goes, and I mean,
And also,
yes,
let's
Mitchell
not kid
Pearce.
ourselves here. I feel like there's a bit of revisionist history here with Mitchell Pearce. Like, oh, he wasn't that bad. No, Mitchell Pearce really was that bad at Origin level. Like, this wasn't him getting like totally outplayed by a Thurston or whatever. Like, a lot of the times it was coming down
He's
to like
making
1 point
mistakes.
in it or whatever, and he'd just go missing, or he'd get the ball and he'd drop the ball easily. And New South Wales did have good sides. We had Jared Hayne back then who was on fire. Like, we had some really good players around the park. So it wasn't like he was made to carry them, which is what a lot of people seem to be trying to
Yeah.
say now, going, well, poor Mitchell Pearce was up against Thurston and Cronk or whatever. But no, Trent Hodkinson did it. Trent Hodkinson, when the game was on the line, got the ball through a dummy, went through and scored. Mitchell Pearce has had a history of like getting the ball, throwing a dummy, and like losing the ball or something like that. Just silly little errors like that, and that's what made me think, or made a lot of people think, he's not cut out for Origin. There's a reason every time he get picked, people go, "Oh my god, no!" It's just a matter of right now we don't really have that many options. So the fact that he's even in
Yeah.
the talk is, I think, a testament to New
But
South Wales' depth at the moment. We don't have any.
the thing is as well, and I hate talking about this because I've talked about it a lot lately, Mitchell Pearce, because it's Origin season and we always do, and I hate it because I feel like I'm calling him crap or whatever, and I'm really not trying to do that. And well, he hasn't played the best, but it's not his fault that he's getting hyped up. He came out in an interview and said, yeah, he's not really focused on Origin. He doesn't care whether he gets picked or not. Half the reason, and I'm just guessing, is probably because he doesn't want to cop all the crap from guys like you and me. You
Yep.
know what I mean? I feel sorry for him because he probably doesn't get asked to get hyped up. He'd probably rather just focus on his footy.
Thing is
And
though, the media, the same guys who are saying he must be selected, etc., etc. If he got selected and we did lose this game, they would
they
be the
turn their
first
backs
ones
on
to
him.
be like, "Can't believe you got picked. Like, why would you pick this guy? He's a bottler." And you're like, "Hang on, like, you were calling for it." Like, even go back to a month or so ago. It might have been a bit over a month. I remember reading a thing where a whole bunch of all the experts, I'm doing the quotation marks here, all the experts did the top 5 players in the NRL at the moment. A lot of them had Cody Walker as number 1. A lot of them had Latrell Mitchell as number 1. And now we
Yeah.
find both of them not even in the State of Origin sides.
Yeah, and that's what I said. We've got the quick memories as well. And I find it on my page a fair bit, and I'm not singling out certain people. I just see it every now and then. Latrell Mitchell's a great point. 5 weeks ago, I don't know what, I put up a post about something. Latrell Mitchell's the best player in the NRL. I love Latrell Mitchell. He's been one of the best. Probably those same people, or a few of them would have been the same people. If I put up a post like a week ago, they'd say, oh yeah, Latrell Mitchell's a dud. Rah, rah, rah. That's the thing. We have short memories and we really shouldn't. We should be thinking about the past, the future, and the present, not just thinking about the present. Another one is Nathan Cleary. All right, he is still very young in his career, got a lot of development to go. This is his 4th season in the NRL. You know, he debuted very young. He is still developing. People are calling him crap and a failure. Nathan Cleary he might this season, but to this point has never missed a final series in his career. Has at least been a part of a team that has got to the second week of the finals and won the series in his first year of playing Origin. And guess what? He did all that by the time he was 20.
I just
He
feel
was
like
20 when he won Origin.
at times New South Wales have too much of an emphasis on form, and at other times they also completely overlook it. There's no sort of middle ground in it. For me, I feel like Queensland have been really good in that, like with that sort of stuff, because I feel like they can recognise that, you know, there's some players who you have to go off form, but then there's other players like your Inglis's and you know, all the ones that is always talked about, your Justin Hodges and stuff who come in. Form's temporary, class is permanent, is the old saying. And when Origin came around, you know those guys, your Sam Thaidays, doesn't matter what form they're in, you select them and they'll do a job for you. We've got Latrell Mitchell, who's probably our closest thing to being someone like Greg Inglis or whatever. And the first sign of form and all the talk is, yeah, he needs to be out of the side. And that's not even from Fitler. That's just from a lot of the media talking about it as well. Seems very, I don't know. I don't understand the thought process.
Yeah, look, neither do I. And
also
Queensland... Sorry?
Also, the fact that the replacement is also Jack White, and we'll talk about that. Not only have we got rid of Josh Morris and Jack White, and Josh Morris, who was probably a better, like our best back maybe last game. I know, apart from Tedesco, obviously, but he was probably our best centre for sure. We've got rid of probably the best centre in the world in Latrell Mitchell, and now we've brought in Tom Trbojevic, who definitely deserves to be there. But Jack White, I don't think he's played centre for about 5 years.
No, and we've also got Tom Trbojevic in there, who was primarily a fullback.
Yep, and I think he played for Australia at centre, but I mean last year he played on the wing for New South Wales as well.
New South Wales played on the wing, so he's not even in his primary Origin position.
Yep.
So yeah, and I don't get the Jack Whiten one because personally, and I know this is harsh, he didn't really do much. And when he came on for Cody Walker, that's when Queensland really got going. I'm not saying that's what caused it, but it's when Queensland really got going. Yeah, I think he passed the intercept to Dan Gagai. He was really not looking good. It's good that they've got, I guess, Wade Graham's going to be that utility player, but you know he's played 86 minutes this year, and
even in terms of Wade Graham. Now I'm happy with Wade Graham being in the side, but this is another one where they talk a lot about form. This is what I mean. They talk about form, and they say we're going to pick off form, and then they do like a complete 180 where Wade Graham's played 2 games in however long. But someone like Ryan Madison, who won a premiership last year, so he's played in a big game. He's been very, very good for the Tigers now, so it's not like he was just in that Roosters system. He's gone to a new team and he's gotten even better. He can cover a lot of positions. You think, and also he was 18th man for the last game, and now Wade Graham's back after 2 games and he's just chucked straight into the side while Ryan Madison is still on the outside. I feel like it's surprising that Dale Finucane's actually got to go. With how things are going, you're going, oh, he probably won't even get picked himself.
But thank God he did. Just on Ryan Madison as well, I've got to bring up Victor Radley in sort of the same position. The same type of player as Madison. I believe he went to camp as well. I think he might have been 19th, 20th man, whatever. They'd be kicking themselves right now. They'd be going, are you serious? I saw that Wade Graham was going to get picked. There was a rumor, and I sort of thought to myself, okay, he'll be 18th man or whatever, and he'll be there for a bit of guidance. You know, he's an experienced head because he missed Origin last year as well. He was out injured for the series last year too.
Yes.
So he hasn't played Origin in a couple of years. I just don't get this. They're so contradictory of themselves, New South Wales. Hey, I mean,
yes, and it's frustrating. Like we said, like there's no sort of middle ground. It's either they're completely one way or the other way. Like Brad Fitler comes out and says one thing and then does another, and you're going, huh?
Yeah.
Like which one is it?
Yeah, I know these teams are so heavily influenced by the media
Even
and
in terms
what's
of
popular right
another
now.
player, Daniel Safidi. Daniel
He
Safidi. He's
yeah,
come in. He's starting for the Knights.
yeah.
I would argue he's not even in the top 3 props at the Knights.
Well, personally, I wouldn't have selected him. But even if I had to select him, there's no way he's starting.
Exactly.
Here's what I would have done.
How many players come in and say, "Holy shit, how fast was that?" And now you're starting a guy who's only just recently started starting for the Knights, and now he's going to be starting in probably the biggest, fastest game in rugby league.
And
It's
I think
crazy to me.
and I think lately, as in the past 2 weeks, he's been really hyped by the media too.
And
Now, I'm not saying he's bad.
that's
He's
that's
a
where
good player.
that's what my point was going to be with him. That's why I started to bring him up, because he was someone who, before the season started, like, people thought he was okay. Him and his brother, they were okay for the
Yeah,
Knights when the Knights were shit, but no one ever was talking about him even being in contention for
State
New
of
South
Origin.
Wales. Like, if City Country was around, he probably wouldn't even got to go. And now all of a sudden, David Clemmer goes injured, makes one comment in the media about, yeah, he could probably have a go. And then the media, like, boom, Safidi. Yep, there we go.
Yeah,
Bring him
and the
in.
thing is as well, Mitchell Pearce, and I think Safidi's been dragged into that as well. Oh yeah, Newcastle Knights teammates, rah. Safidi would be good with Pearce, because I think Brad Fitler revealed that Mitchell Pearce was going to be picked if he hadn't got injured. He was going to be picked, and I think maybe Freddie's had a look at it and gone, well, we've got to keep Safidi in there, and starting. Okay, even if he was on the bench, what I would have done was I would have moved Jakey Turbo to prop,
Yep.
who it's not his primary role, but can play there, and Cam Murray off the bench starting at lock. And you think, well, he's only played one Origin game, yeah, but he was the best bench player for New South Wales in game 1, and looked like he deserved to be there. So I'm
See for
comfortable
me,
putting Cam Murray in.
I would have picked Finucane, because he's someone who's played like 4 or 5 grand finals. He's been
Yeah,
he's sort of been there and done it. I know he hasn't done it at Origin level, but grand finals pretty similar. And he's just like a big body. I reckon they'd be great. They'd be perfect to start off the game and then have Cam
yeah,
Murray come up against the Tide forwards. But either way, I think that either one of them, just as long as Jake Zbrojevic at prop and then either Murray or Finucane, I think would be the ideal starting side for me.
yeah.
And yet here we have Daniel Safidi. Is it Jacob
Who,
or Daniel? I
if
just can't remember
Safidi,
now.
if Safidi was coming off the bench, I wouldn't mind it as much.
Yes,
However,
I
starting
agree.
him,
It'd be just similar to the Payne Haas role.
yeah, but starting him, I just don't get it. To be positive about New South Wales, right? Because there are positives there, but we're just, we're doing what the media does. We're focusing on the negatives. So I
Yeah,
want to bring in a bit of
definitely
positive.
positives. I mean,
I'd,
look
I'd
at
say the bench is
Cook and
better than game 1.
I agree. I think
Yeah,
in the first game we lacked size. We've got that size now. My only worry is Tarek Sims in the past. He played last year and he came on and he did some really silly things.
yeah,
Clem is a very passionate guy. Sims is very passionate. And it's great to have a lot of passion, but you got to channel that passion. You got to channel that aggression. You
yeah,
can't just come on willy nilly, start doing dumb shit.
yeah.
And I remember
That's a
Tarek
problem
Sims
Clemens
coming
had.
on, giving away penalties, and I just hope for New South Wales' sake he doesn't do it this game, because last year I think it was in game 3, so it didn't really matter. This time, game 2, series on the line. We can't be having the game on the line and having a guy like Tarek Sims come on and start doing head highs and stupid penalties and giving away the game.
Yeah, 100%.
It doesn't take much to lose a game at Origin.
Yeah. I just wanted to go back to what you started bringing up before I rudely interrupted you. I believe you're talking about James Tedesco and Damien Cook. Definitely 2 positives for New South Wales. And I know this is bold, but I think each generation for each Blues Queensland squad, they have legends, you could say. People who are considered New South Wales legends, for example. We've got Joey Johns, Danny Badeiras could be chucked in there. He was there with Johns. We've got, Steve Mortimer back in the day, Tommy Rodonigus, New South Wales legends. I know it sounds silly, but in the generation that we were losing all the time, Paul Gallen would probably be considered that New South Wales legend, right? Because he
Yep, I'd
was
say him and
the
Jared
captain.
Hayne carried our team
Yeah,
at
they were
times. Greg
associated.
Bird was another good one.
Yeah. In 10 years, we're going to look back at this blue side and Damien Cook will be that legend. That's
I
what I'm
agree.
saying.
I agree. I think him and Tedesco, I think, are clearly our best players, like by
Yeah.
a long shot. I also really like our back row, to be honest.
Oh
Cordner,
yeah, the likes
Cord,
of Cordner.
Cordner,
For
I think Cordner might be the weakest out of the back row. Like, I think Jake Shboyevich, phenomenal player. He's great for Origin level. Tyson Frizzell has showed it at Origin level. It's been a little
Yeah,
bit down in form, I reckon, this year, but obviously dealing with a few injuries. But he's
injuries.
another one, you're going to get a workhorse effort out of him. And obviously,
Well,
Cordner gets the job done. He's a good leader, which is what you want for
yeah,
Origin. Um,
yeah,
you can't really complain about that back row. With the fullback's good. Adokar, I think, deserves his spot. There are a lot of players who are
yeah,
good selections, in my opinion. I think the bench is very good. It's just those few changes that they have made that we've been talking about. They're just so questionable that it's kind of overshadowed the whole New
exactly.
South Wales side. It's kind of sad, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah. I like the 9 to 13, 100%, because it's consistent picking as well. That's the 9 to 13 from game one. They played Origin last year. They are Origin winners, 9 to 13. I like that. I like the bench too. I like the fullback. I like Josh Adokar on the wing. I don't mind Maloney and Cleary in the halves, which, it's weird, but that isn't the focal talking point from this New South Wales squad, and it usually is the halves, but people seem to be pretty content. As I said, short memories. As soon as Penrith started playing good, all is forgiven and forgotten,
I get the feeling
especially from game one.
the game plan is going to be quite different going into this game. I feel like last year and this year we're going very, very attacking, just trying to just score at will. And that was particularly
Yeah,
like with Latrell Mitchell at that car. You saw last year they were doing a lot of offloads. Some worked, some didn't. This year I feel like now we're going to go back to the sort of maybe traditional sort of New South Wales game plan of like grinding out a victory. That's where I think Maloney's best at. I think that's what Cleary will do. We've picked a pretty good defensive sort of side. I think that's why Jack Whiten's in the centres, because his big body will get in there, do the hard yards. Ferguson will do the hard yards as well. Same as Tom Trbojevic. We've got a lot of players who will get in and get the work done. We haven't got those sort of luxury players for this game, which is looking at it, I was like, it's not good. But in terms of the team as a whole, he's been quite consistent with the sort of side in terms of getting players who will work for each other. So I suppose that's a good thing.
Mm. Yeah, look, it's not a terrible side, right? But it's just the amount of changes. New South Wales fans are sick of our squad being changed. I would be obviously not happy, but I'd be more okay if we lost this series playing the exact same side. You know what I mean? Like, I could go, okay, you've backed them. They didn't get the job done in the end,
Yeah,
but at
I
least you've
think
backed them.
I think most people who are disappointed in the fact that we feel like we've put out a worse side than game one. You can
Yeah,
cop it if they make changes. Queensland have done it in the past. New South Wales have done it in the past too. You don't mind them making changes, but make the changes for the better. Not like a lot of these ones are quite baffling. Like I know some of them were
yeah.
forced, like we talked about, due to injury, but yeah, some of these are just strange.
And you know what? It's the worst time to do it because game two, it's less than a week away. I mean, the teams get announced on the Sunday, they play on the Sunday. If it's game 1 or 3, they get announced on the Sunday. They don't play till Wednesday week. So there's less time. So, for example, Dale Finucane, you got to chuck him in there because he's a debutant. Daniel Safidi, Blake Ferguson has never played Origin under Brad Fitler before as well. Wade Graham has never played Origin under Fitler before. They have 7 days to try and adjust.
Then you
And to
add in
try and
players
gel.
like Jack Whiten in another position he hasn't played for years.
Yep.
We have Tom Trbojevic in a position he hasn't played for years, or barely played at all, even.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So
it's just
it's going to be harder to gel at camp. It's good that they brought Maloney back in because he's apparently the uplifting guy, right? And from what I see in interviews with James Maloney and Nathan Cleary will have a whole lot more confidence with James Maloney by his side, right? Like,
yeah, I feel like
because they are
Maloney might be someone who can just calm the team down a little bit and sort of relax them. And like when things start to go wrong, to go, hey fellas, just relax. We're still in the game here. Just stay with it, because I feel like he's pretty good at
well,
that.
Here's what I hope he doesn't do, because he does this at Penrith all the time. I'm not
Intercepts.
sure if you know, but well, not necessarily that, because I see it all the time at Penrith games when I'm there. I sit with my brother, my brother's mate, and my dad. Now, I don't know if my brother's mate watches your stuff, so he probably won't see this, but I don't know. But I've noticed he calls out the refs for not letting James Tarmo come and speak to him because that it's Penrith. And he said if it was Cam Smith, he'd let him. I sort of think James Maloney's the issue, and here's why. You notice whenever something happens that doesn't go in Penrith's favour, James Maloney's the one that's instantly at the ref. He's not the captain. He doesn't get to have that say. And then that stops James Tarmo from coming over, who actually has the power to question the ref, to come over and do that. Can you imagine James Maloney doing that in Origin? And he probably wouldn't get the same reaction. They probably take him a bit more seriously because it is Origin. But can you imagine, how pissed off would Boyd Cordner be? So I think he needs to channel, if he's frustrated in that aggression, focus that on putting Queensland off their game, disrupting your team. You know what I mean?
Yep, no,
Don't disrupt your captain's ability to go and talk to the coach. That's what he needs to get right.
I find a lot of the times he probably talks to the referee because he's the one actually giving away the penalty. He gives away a lot of penalties, Maloney. Thankfully for Origin, not too many penalties, so I suppose you can get away with it a little bit more. But yeah, definitely does those little sort of weird, niggly sort of shit that could piss off the referee, sort of turn him against the team. But yeah, I don't know. I'm okay with Maloney being in the side.
Yeah, 100%. But again, it's our short memories thing as well. And before game one, people say Maloney's no chance, rah, rah, rah. After one game against the Sydney Roosters, has a good game. Everyone's reporting it. All the media, James Maloney's put his hand up for Origin. One game. If we're talking about form, he's had one good game in a few weeks. You know what I mean? Short memories. It literally took one game for basically all of New South Wales to change their opinion on James Maloney. And also, one club game.
And it took one Origin game from a lot of people to say Cody Walker's the best 5'8" in the comp at the moment to saying he's average.
Yep, that's just how people are. And I don't really like it. I mean, as I said, I see it on my own page sometimes. We just have short memories. And, I've tried to call people out on it a couple of times because it frustrates me and I try to explain myself. But I don't know. We just have short... I get caught into it sometimes as well, right? I do these ladder prediction updates where I think teams are going to on the at the end of the year every 5 rounds. And, a lot of that I heavily based on where the teams are now, and I really shouldn't because I know that the ladder's going to change a lot throughout the season. In round 1, I had Penrith coming second on the ladder. They started playing crap. I ended up having them out the 8. They've just won 4 games in a row. In my head, I'm even thinking, could they do it? Because they're a team that generally starts poor and then makes the 8. Yeah. There's just so much that can happen in the season. Your Bulldogs probably won't happen, but mathematically, they can still make the 8. I think they're 6 points out of the 8. Penrith are currently 2 points out of the 8. A lot of teams are currently 2 points out of the 8, but Penrith are currently 2 points out. And they haven't had the best season. My Titans are 4 points out of the top 8. 2 wins. I mean, obviously, we've got for and against them, that to talk about. But a lot can happen in a season, and a lot can happen in an Origin series.
That's it. So, for as bad as we're talking about this New South Wales side, could easily come out and get the job done. Queensland could play atrocious, and New South Wales could play really good. You never know, especially with the game on the line, the talk against New South Wales, that could inspire them. We just have to wait and see, really.
Yeah, and you know what? That Queensland side, they've basically picked the same side, right? Apart from a couple of small changes to the bench. Before game 1, we were talking about, well, at least I was, and I know most of the people on my page at least were. They were saying, Queensland will get beat. New South Wales have the better side. The Queensland side, they got players playing out of position, which I was talking about as well. Queensland have now almost picked the exact same side, and people are saying that they are going to win the series. Why? Because they've won 1 game. Before the series began, I said that New South Wales would win the series 2-1. Queensland would take one game, and that game was most likely going to be the one at Suncorp. So far, my prediction is coming to its fruition. However, I didn't expect us to put this side out. But you know what? They are genuinely all good players. The main thing for me is that it's the 7 changes, and that's what pisses a lot of New South Wales fans off. We just need some consistency, for God's sakes. I mean, you should not... I know I started out with this, but this is my whole main point for this New South Wales side. After winning a series, losing game 1 by 4 points, a game where in the first half you were the better side, you were leading, a game that you scored the last try in, lost by 4 points only. That is not an excuse to go and make 7 changes unless you've got 7 injured players, which you don't. You had 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I agree with everything you just said there. And not only did we score the last try, if it wasn't from Ponga coming in and putting his body in front of Latrell,
we
could have scored. It would have been even with a kick to win the game.
And you know what? If we'd scored that try, if we had won, a lot of people would be saying, "Oh, Queensland are in crisis. Make changes."
Definitely. But I think that's the beauty about this Queensland side, though. I think going into game 1, I was worried about it, and it got proven correct. And now for game 2 as well, just Cherry Evans and Munster, just the halves are just a clear step above to the New South Wales side. And I think New South Wales have got them covered in the rest of the side, but just the halves are so important.
I'd say that New South Wales halves right now, Maloney and Cleary, are unpredictable. They can play amazing. They can play poor. They've proven that this season at Penrith.
I just feel like Cherry Evans, he's shown at Origin level, he can do it. He can control the game. And Cameron Munster, obviously phenomenal. In my opinion, probably the best player last game. I know a lot of the talk was Ponga. And then you add in Ponga as well, who's just seems so comfortable at Origin level. Ben Hunt seems pretty good in hooker position. Like, their whole spine is just settled, in my opinion. Whereas New South Wales, we're still swapping and changing, going, who's our halves going to be? We know Tedesco's going to be there every game. We know Damien Cook's going to be there. But there's going to be question marks, even going into game 3 probably. Even if we win this game, lose this game, whatever, there'll be people who will still say, Cleary's got to go, Maloney's got to go, Pearce is going to be in, Adam Reynolds got to be in, like Cody Walker should be back, Jack White, and like there's so many different scenarios or different people they could go with, which I think really hurts New South Wales.
Yeah, and I saw before game 1, the media was going on about how, New South Wales supporters, and they were just saying, this wasn't a Queenslander saying it or anything. I don't know if they were from Queensland. This is just a news report. Queenslanders are so much more passionate about Origin than New South Wales supporters. New South Wales supporters always, take the mickey out of their own team or whatever. It's not us. It's literally you, the media, that's doing it, because you're the trendsetters in a sense. You talk about how the Blues need to change this, this, and this, right? Then they go out and make 7 changes. Or how come they've made so many changes? And, I guess I'm that to a lesser extent, because I do think that a couple of changes should have been made, but definitely not this much.
Definitely. You know what I mean? I think we're not deluded.
Sorry,
we think there's going to be... We obviously expected there to be some changes. We lost. Yeah. Injuries happen. We're not deluded. It's just, the amount, like you're going to say, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and you know what? The media always seems to paint New South Wales in a bad light ever since we started losing all those series games. And, to be fair enough, they're a talking point, right? And Queensland, they've got the great players. They just say great stuff about Queensland. It looks like it's carrying sort of over to this generation. I thought it was going to change last year. New South Wales probably the more dominant side. However, things haven't changed. It's just... the media is just that involved in Origin. And, one day, hopefully, I'm going to be part of that media reporting on Origin, but I just hope that I can think back to a day like today and think, I've got to choose what I say here wisely, because I don't want to make myself out to be a hypocrite from when I was in Luke's video,
Yep.
10 years ago or whatever. It's just and the reporters and that, I get why they do it. Okay, I get why they do these things. However, it's creating this. I guarantee you, and I know this is bold, if the media weren't so adamant that New South Wales was in a crisis, with air quotes heavily crisis, because they're not, if the media weren't so adamant about that and so negative about New South Wales, Brad Fitler doesn't make 7 changes to the squad.
Yep, definitely a panic. But I think he
Exactly.
saw the reports, went, oh shit, if I don't do something, I'm gone.
Exactly. He's influenced by the media that much, and that shouldn't be how it is. It should be him. I believe Danny Badiris and Greg Alexander are the other 2 selectors sitting in a room and picking
Greg Alexander, who's
who
also
they
in the
think.
media too.
Yep, Danny Badiris, who was also in the media. He's a commentator. He's not, there as much, but he's still.
They're still all involved within the media.
It's like, and I'm not necessarily saying them being in the media has anything to do about it. It's just them seeing what the media is reporting.
Yep.
I really think that they shouldn't be, because I believe a couple of these picks are based off the media. If Mitchell Pearce hadn't have been injured, I tell you what, he would have been, and he has been playing great lately. And I would have been okay with him in the side now. I don't think he would have screwed up as bad, but he's definitely one that has been influenced by the media. And I think just pick a consistent side, Freddie, from here on out. Maybe if we lose game 2, game 3, trial a few people, whatever. But from game 1, 2020, I want to challenge Freddie Fitler. Pick your side, and even if we lose game 1, barring injuries, pick the exact same side. Because I, as a New South Wales supporter, am more okay with a team that has consistently been picked losing than a team that has been chopped and changed so many times. Because at least if we're picking the exact same side, there are no excuses. We know we gave it our all, and Queensland were the better team. But now we're left thinking, what if Latrell was in the side? If we lose game 2, what if Latrell was in the side? What if Josh Morris was in the side? What if Mitchell Pearce was in the side? I'm not going to, really talk about the injured players because we can't help that.
Yep.
But you know what I mean? It's
essentially, to summarize what we're trying to say is, we just, like you said, we just want some consistency. We want a little bit of what Queensland's doing. We're not necessarily saying pick and stick, but at least stick to your guns. Like, don't come out and say, yep, we're going for a youth movement, and then go against that. And then the next game, go back saying, oh, we're actually going to do that youth movement now, and then move back to it the next game, and then back off it and back onto it. Like, just be consistent. If you're going to say you're going to do something, do it.
Do it. Yep.
Well, I think that's where we should end the video. Been nearly going for 50 minutes here. Thank you for coming onto the channel.
No worries. I just want to add one more thing. We basically could have made this video about 1 or 2 seconds long, because all of this is about consistency. That's the one word, consistency, and I'm happy.
That's me too, essentially. It's just, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to get that with Brad Fitler. I don't know if he's the sort of coach to bring consistency, but I don't know. We'll wait and see. We'll see how game 2 goes. Oliver, do you want to do some plugs for your channel and for your Facebook?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I'm at NRL in my opinion on Facebook. That's NRL. What are the 2 dots called? Is it a colon? I don't know.
Yeah, semicolon or something.
But look, just search up NRL in my opinion, and it'll come up on Facebook. Same on YouTube. I'm at NRL in my opinion. No gaps, no anything. Just straight NRL in my opinion on Instagram. And if you want to email me for whatever reason, NRL in my opinion @gmail.com. And I've recently been doing shout out videos lately on the Facebook page and the YouTube channel, shouting out other channels and pages that deserve to be checked out. And I did one on, I don't know which way you are on good old Lukey, so go check that one out. It's on my Facebook and YouTube. And go the Blues. Yeah.
Yes, go the Blues. Hopefully get the job done. Anyway, guys, that is where I'm going to end the video. Hopefully you did enjoy this little discussion. Leave in the comment section below, what are your thoughts on the New South Wales side? I've already seen a bunch of comments. Some people were happy with it. Some people were very, very disgusted with it. Obviously, I think we're pretty appalled with the side. But hey, we'll have to see how game 2 goes. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.